Shalom, shalom. Grace and peace. It's Apostle Terrence, Kingdom Media Foundation. How you doing this morning? Whenever y'all get in and check this thing out, I know nobody's on yet, but go ahead and say something. Grace, peace, hello, what's up? Let me know that you're checking in. It's helpful. Sometimes it's early in the morning. You don't even want to post. Just go ahead and go to work or get some extra sleep in. But then the compelling call says get up and do your due diligence. So I'm on here this morning. I want to talk real quickly about women in leadership. I put some notes down because I didn't want to forget anything that I woke up with this on my mind. Women in leadership. In 2016, we still have people who believe that the only place for women should be in the house, washing dishes, cleaning clothes, vacuuming, all the domestic stuff. And I will tell you this, I definitely believe that a woman should desire to keep her house clean and to make sure it's governed properly. I believe that's a domestic nature. It's something that women should desire to do, but a man should desire to help with that because ultimately he's responsible for the home. But to limit a woman's gifts, abilities, strengths, attributes to just being regulated, God just wants you to stay in the house. We need to come out of that. That's not what's up. That's not what he's doing in these days. So at the time when women were doing that, and that was all they were expected to do, were times when they were treated as property and men had multiple wives. So we need to review that. But if we go back to Genesis, Genesis says that he gave both male and female dominion, that he made both male and female in his image and likeness, so that they would have dominion in the earth, and so that they could replenish and that they could, subdue and all that good stuff, multiply, so he called both men and women to lead. You can't have dominion without having leadership. So women by nature, as men, are leaders. Humans are leaders, whether you're male or female. We've been called to lead. We've been called to govern. We've been called to have dominion over something. So that is not something that is just limited to certain people, to men, or even certain kind of people who are born to lead. No, humans, all of us who have made it into the land of the living, we humans have been created to have dominion, including females. So the one part where you see the introduction of a woman being subservient, or a woman being under the rulership of a man, is after the fall, after they ate of the fruit, when God was issuing out his edicts. And he said, you will have a desire for your husband, he shall rule over you. This is the time when he told her she would in pain bear children. So this is as a result of the curse. This is not something that God originally intended. And now those of us who are in Christ, who believe that the curse has gone away, and though we still live in the flesh and we haven't received our glorified bodies yet, we live a life by faith that reflects our freedom from the curse. So with that being said, we should celebrate the restoration of woman to her right place as a co-ruler, a joint heir, and one who has dominion alongside the man. Now, let me back up, because somebody might say, well, if that's the case, how come women who are saved still have birth pains? How come women who are saved still have trouble giving birth, or they have pain? We're not saying that women don't have pain because Christ set us free from the curse of the law. But what we're saying is, in our control and our ability, we should live a life that reflects what God wanted us to live prior to the fall. And that is a life that declares that women also have authority. Women also have dominion. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to that. Another thing, we understand that the man is the symbol of government. So man is called the head because he's the symbol of government. Grace, King. What's going on, Prophet? Said man is the head. He is the symbol of government, right? It doesn't mean that women, because they are not the head, it doesn't mean that they don't have dominion. It's just that they operate in a different sphere of dominion. The man is the symbol of government, but woman, she is the symbol of his crown. She is the symbol of splendor, of radiance. She is the symbol of his glory. So that's why the scripture says woman is the glory of man. Man is the glory of Christ. Christ is the glory of God. Well, basically it talks about how God is the head of Christ. Christ is the head of man. Man is the head of woman. And all that is linked to glory. But everyone has their place. Christ, the Father, was looked at as the head of Christ. And Christ glorified the Father. He said, I came to glorify you. I came to glorify the Father. So the Father was the head. Christ glorified the Father. So man, we are supposed to glorify Christ because he is our head. So we glorify our head. So woman, she's to glorify the man because we are the head. So she glorifies the man. Now, the question is, how do you glorify? How do you glorify? Can you glorify without having dominion? Could Christ have glorified the Father without having authority, dominion, power, might, ability, strength, without having a voice, without having dunamis power? Could Christ have glorified the Father without power? So the woman can't even glorify the man without having her own influence, her own power, her own ability, her own splendor, her own radiance. So definitely women are called and expected to lead. There can be no government without the glory to accompany it, or it will not be respected. Man can say, I'm the head all day long. I'm the head. I'm the head. If you have no glory that accompanies you, then your headship will not be honored or recognized. So you can have government, but you got to have splendor. You got to have glory. You can have something that reinforces your authority so that you will be respected, so that your government could be looked at as legitimate. And that's what the woman does. The woman comes to legitimize. Oh my goodness. The woman comes to legitimize her headship. Now, and so this is why it's needed. So when we go back to Adam and Eve, and we go back to the garden in the story of the serpent, and he goes to the woman is deceived. She eats the fruit. Nothing happens. Then the man, he's looking at her to see what's going to happen to her. Nothing happens. And then when he eats of the fruit, that's when they're naked and ashamed, because he's ultimately responsible as the government. But understand that the enemy didn't speak directly with government first. The enemy spoke directly with his representative power. And woman, her role and her dominion in the earth is to have representative power. What do I mean by that? That she carries the seed, she carries the authority, she carries the weight of that which was given to her. And she glorifies it and gives you back more than you gave her. She's an incubator. She's one who cultivates. She's one who takes what you have and manifests it and makes it greater, makes it better. That's dominion. That's power. She is represented as the earth. And so when you put a seed in the ground and that ground is watered and tilled, cultivated, it produces and gives you more. It gives you, it reveals what you put in, but it gives you more than what you put in. So her glory is in her ability to take less and to magnify it and to make it greater. I'm just going to give you some attributes, because we need to also understand that when God made male and female, he gave women his attributes too. And a lot of times, I know we talk about Father God and we refer to him as Father because he is our source. But ultimately, you can see his traits represented in the female attribution. So you see that women are cultivators, women are nurturers, women are protectors, women are communicators, We know that because a lot of times we don't want to talk anymore. They're still talking. They want to talk. God is a communicator. Women are connectors. They want to connect. They don't just want you to talk at them, but they want to connect with you. God is a connector. They are attractors. They know how to attract. They know how to, they have the gift of allure. They know how to bring you into their world. God has that same ability. Women are purchasers. They're buyers. They're shoppers. They know how to investigate and find the best deal and find the best thing. This comes from God. This is a nature of God. Women are discerning. They know how to discern. They're intuitive. They know how to see things, even things that there may not be a logical explanation for yet. Now, I'm not saying women are not logical, but a lot of times they can have an intuitive sense before they have the logic to go along with it. Now, that intuitiveness, that discerning, that comes from God. Women are watchful. They can watch and see what's going on. I'm talking about women, saved women. I'm talking about heathen women. I'm just talking about women. Women have these traits, but where do these traits come from? Whether they're perverted or not, they come from God. Women are perceivers. They can perceive things. They are caretakers and stewards. Now, I know every actual woman does not lean more toward being a caretaker. Some women say, I'm not into that. But there is a caretaker nature in them because they've been created with the ability to conceive and to rear and nurture their children. So, and women are teachers. They're the first teachers that a child comes to. Most of the child's first lessons come from their mother. So women are natural teachers. They know how to show you. They know how to illustrate. They know how to demonstrate. So all the qualities that you would say is the qualities of a good mother are also the great qualities for a great leader, if you just think about it. And it's interesting to me how people will not trust women to teach or to lead in some kind of capacity because of their misunderstanding of certain scriptures, but yet you would trust a woman to raise your children. You would trust a woman to give them the seeds, the first seeds of understanding, the first seeds of what it means to walk in this world and how to live, their values, how they will, a lot of the lessons we learn as up until the point where we get old, we learn them from when we were children. So we entrust women primarily to be the first teachers. But moving on from that, we also know that God had placed prophets. We see prophets in the scriptures, prophetesses, prophets who are women. So the question is, did prophets have dominion? Did prophets have power? That's an obvious. Did prophets have authority? That's a given. The scripture says in Corinthians, it says he is set first in the church, apostles, second, prophets, thirdly, teachers. In that place, pastors are not even mentioned. In that place, evangelists are not even mentioned. So when someone wants to talk to me about whether a woman should be a pastor, I'll say, even if a woman shouldn't be a pastor, most definitely we can see a prototype where a woman should be a prophet. And a prophet has more authority in the church than the pastor. If you look at it in scripture, and somebody says, well, no, because the pastor is the leader. But I'm talking about the weight of governance and the weight of authority in setting it up. Grace, Queen. Deacon Sherry, what's going on? So a woman who God can entrust to be one who would watch over his word, to speak his word, to declare his word, to watch over his word, to perform it. But a woman can't lead in government. A woman can't lead in some. So let me just say this, because I've heard some stupid stuff about this election, whatever. Whatever happened in the election had nothing to do with Hillary being a woman in terms of the eyes of God. Now, some people may not have voted for her because of that, because of other things. And I'm not promoting her at all, but I'm just saying in the eyes of God, it was not about the fact that she was a woman from God's point of view. And the reason why I say that is because he called Deborah to be the judge of the nation of Israel. So if God had a problem with a woman being the primary judge of the nation for a period of time, then he would not have, if he had a problem with a woman being a president, he would not have called Deborah to be a judge of the nation of Israel at a particular period of time. We didn't see it often, but see, that was a great thing, because in a time where women were treated as property, as a time where women were treated as concubines and all this, you have a woman that God raises up to be the judge of the nation. So to say women cannot lead is really idiotic. I will say that. It's really foolishness. But what we have to understand, and I'm about to leave with this, what we have to understand is not should women lead, and not do they have the authority and power and dominion to lead, but should they lead like a man? And this is the thing right here, because I've seen women fighting so much for acceptance where they feel like the way that they have to lead is to lead like a man. And then so they adopt patterns and prototypes from men. But women do not have to be masculine in order to have dominion. Oh man, I'm hitting somebody with that one, but that's real, because women a lot of times don't realize that you have authority and power in your allure, and you have authority and power in your wisdom, in your subtlety. As a matter of fact, wisdom in scripture, in Proverbs, is depicted as a woman. Wisdom has a female personification in the Old Testament. So we know that Christ is the wisdom of God. That's when he's manifested in the flesh. But prior to that, the depiction of wisdom is a woman. And so we have to look at that women, and even if you look at Proverbs 31, women have the grace and ability to have dominion without causing fear. They have the grace and ability to lead by being wise, and not to lead by force. You don't have to force. I mean, a woman doesn't have to force. All she has to do is do what she does. Be a connector, be a protector, be an attractor, be discerning, be intuitive, be a nurturer, be a communicator. So all of these things are wrapped up in the woman's DNA, but a lot of times we have allowed them, because we have come against women so much, they've had to fight so much for their place and their role, that they feel like the only way to get there, and the only way to do what they need to do, is to have to be like a man. And you don't have to be like a man. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn from men. Indeed, their own grace is released to lead and exercise authority as a woman with that masculine paradigm, right? So we want them to be, we want women to be feminine. And a lot of times men don't even realize when they have been led by women, because it was so subtle, it was so unaware. They were led by women. This is one other point. This is not about preaching and teaching. This is just about men and women and women's authority and influence. A lot of times whenever you see something that gets caught up like with a male and a female in some kind of scandal or in some kind of thing that's inappropriate, that's wrong, we always say that, you know, the man took advantage of the woman. We always say that. And there are times when that is the case. But I would venture to say that a lot of times we don't realize the authority that a woman has in the area of allure. That a lot of times we know a lot of men are victims to lust. We know a lot of men are victims to perversion. We know a lot of men are captivated by sin and all kind of stuff that they're caught up in. And a lot of times women do. The women who are caught up in those scenarios are not necessarily addicted to lust, but they are connected. They're using that relationship for either protection, for manipulation, or to get whatever they're trying to get out of it. What's my point? That point was not to knock any women at all, but it's to say a lot of times we oversimplify the complexity and the authority and the power that a woman has. Sometimes it's not always about what the woman was the victim. Sometimes she was the victor and he was the prey. Sometimes he was the one that was caught up and she was the one who realized how she could manipulate the situation. That's just a point, because when we look at this, even when you're ministering to people or when you're trying to help people, when you're trying to give life to people, you don't always want to side with the obvious. And the obvious is the man is always, that comes from a chauvinist mindset. The woman is weak. Her mind is weak. She doesn't know what she's doing. A man can just manipulate her and do whatever he wants to do. She's just a dumb lady that doesn't know what's happening. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. Women are very intelligent, very sharp, very smart. And the same ability in a woman to be a preacher, a teacher, a ruler, a governor, a judge is the same base skills that would let a woman be a great madam or be a great prostitute or be a great whatever the case may be. Because understand, just as men can pervert their gifts and become a pimp, become a warlock or whatever the case may be, women have the ability to use their dominion and their power for evil as well. So I just want to say, don't sleep. I could have just summarized all of what I just said by saying, don't sleep on the power of a woman. Don't sleep on the power. You might say, why are you so concerned with this? I don't know if I said it in the beginning, but I grew up, I was the firstborn son, had two sisters that came up after me. And then, of course, I had my mom, and then I had three daughters. So I've grown up with a lot of estrogen around me, no sons, a lot of estrogen around me. And I've seen powerful leaders. I've seen powerful women emerge, and I've seen that. So for somebody to tell me that women cannot rule or women are not sharp, I've seen it too much. I've seen it too up close to know better. Every woman that's around me, my wife, every woman that's around me is a leader. Every woman that is around me is strong and has power, but they know how to be women. And so that's the thing. I just want to encourage you with that. So, when you're dealing with someone or you're hearing what somebody else is saying about anything, just discern the whole thing. Know that God has placed ability, power, might, and strength in women. I encourage you to cultivate that. I encourage you to develop that. And don't be on the side of the enemy where you squash or you hurt somebody's potential to lead because you see them as weaker than you. I'm talking to men right now. Come up out of that. That's the ignorant mentality. You have daughters and you focus on your sons, but don't focus on your daughters. Shame on you. There's a whole lot of ability, a whole lot of creativity, a whole lot of stuff that's there. Don't just focus on your sons. Focus on your daughters as well. It's important. It's important to do that. And even as men, when you think about the role that your parents had in raising you up and training you, don't just give honor to your father because he's a man, in defense or to protect the man or to, rah, but also give honor and glory. And we usually do this, give honor and glory for the woman and for the mother. And remember, when you're looking at her, understand that she was also made in the image and likeness of God. And when you're dealing with her, you're dealing with the qualities of God. And a lot of times you're dealing with the discernment of God. So hopefully that blesses you. I hope you have a great and prosperous day. I'll talk to you soon. Grace and peace.